morning. We'd like to ask that all of the members that are in the audience sign our sign-in sheet. We need to keep that for our records. If you didn't have a chance to do that as you came in, if you please sign as you go out. And we'd like to ask that everyone silence their phones, please. Okay, on behalf of the Holiday Island Board of Commissioners, I call this August meeting to order. I want to remind all in attendance that the Board of Commissioners acts as a governing body, whereas the district manager is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the district. The purpose of the board as elected representatives of the property owners is to provide direction to the district manager and assure the financial solvency of the district. It is not the responsibility of the commissioners to become involved in the daily operations of the district. Let's stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Surratt, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, I will. Chairman Childers?
Yes, here.
Present. Vice Chair Dyer?
Here.
Secretary Surratt here. Commissioner Stamps?
Here.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
All present.
Okay, in that case, I declare that we have a quorum. All 5 commissioners are present. You have had an opportunity to look at the agenda, receive that in advance. We need to approve the agenda. Do I have a commissioner who could make a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Commissioner Dyer has moved to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Brown has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is approved. We've also seen the July 25th regular meeting. Those minutes have been sent to us in advance. Everyone's had an opportunity to look at them and make any corrections. Commissioner Surratt, as secretary, did you have an opportunity to review those?
Yes, I reviewed the minutes as sent to me by Cheryl and to the good graces of DJ, and I would like to move that they be approved as printed.
Okay, Commissioner Surratt has made a motion to approve the minutes as printed. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Brown is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Do we have any ceremonial? I'm not aware of any.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Announcements. Yes, Commissioner Brown, yes.
I want to tell the audience that, and those listening in on YouTube, that Carroll County has moved the cardboard container that used to be over there, and it's down now at that end of the big parking lot where all the boats park, so toward the marina. So I think they pick up twice a week, Monday and Thursday, and I'd like to ask everybody, that's just a real convenience. Otherwise, you have to go over to Eureka Springs to get rid of cardboard. And there's hundreds of boxes a day from Prime and so forth. So please use the one down at the end of the parking lot, and if it's full, don't dump it, wait till the next day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Ms. Talbot, I'm going to put you under announcements if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Good morning, I'm Barb Talbot, and I'm here today on behalf of the Holiday Island Chamber of Commerce. I have given to each of you a flyer for our annual Patriot Day event. This event was a huge hit last year, and the topic of the event is to never forget the tragic events of September 11th. Everyone here can remember exactly where they were and what they were doing on that day. And you really need to make sure you never forget how you felt that moment. And we want to remember all the victims who fell that day for our freedom. The Chamber has also commissioned a monument that will be installed in the park that day in remembrance of all of these victims. So this is going to be a very somber ceremony. and it will be also in conjunction with the American Legion to help us out to serve that appropriately. We also want to be able to celebrate our freedoms, and Holiday Island Elks Lodge 1042 has graciously sponsored, as they typically do when we have any kind of veterans events, for our entertainment that includes 60 On and Coyote Claw. And I know you're going to love this. We have an anonymous donor that from 6 until 7 that evening, the Young Americans have made special arrangements. They're going to be performing that afternoon at Center Stage, and they're making a purpose to come over for a patriotic thing to have our grand finale from 6 to 7. So I know no one wants to miss that. We are installing a couple, maybe 3, 10 by 20 canopies that's in the grassy area. So it will invite people to come closer to the stage to enjoy the entertainment. And HISA has very graciously contributed to furnishing a couple of golf carts so that those people who don't maneuver those hills very well, they'll have a limousine ride all the way down and all the way back. We're going to have a lot of food vendors that are going to be there. We're going to place them in the grassy area that's where our kiddie corral is going to be, which is sponsored every year by CS Bank. It's an opportunity to bring our really young fans and even older fans to come in and know that there's a lot to do and to enjoy at Holiday Island. We'll have gift baskets for those children who participate. This year we're going to have 2 bouncy houses and face painting, and the Holiday Island Fire Department will be there to also have their typical obstacle course and to represent that presence of Holiday Island. And we're going to have, last year we had just an open fun car event there. This year, we're bringing it on. They're going to compete with an open car show. Aaron Hoyt is also helping me because he's the guy that knows about car shows and so forth. We're going to have 4 categories and trophies that are going to be awarded. There'll be a chamber division, a veterans division, a first responder division, and the people choice division. So some of you are going to get called on to be that judge. So you know that you'll be hearing from me if you are that person, and you know how diligent I am with that. So I don't take no for an answer, but I think it would be nothing but an honor for you to participate in this event. I think I've pretty much covered it all. Please get on our site, like and share it. We're getting a tremendous response already. We will be having a live interview typically that we do a week in advance. Melody Purdy with the Eureka Springs Live has been very gracious to the Chamber and Holiday Island in particular to promote the area. And we also have Eureka Springs Chamber that will be helping us out again with all of these organizations coming together. HIHA is going to be participating with us as well. They're the hospitality organization. Their target is residents of Holiday Island. Our focal point is supporting our community and promoting our local businesses. So it takes all of us to come together to promote Holiday Island in general, and we appreciate your support in doing so. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the information about the Patriot Day celebration, and thank you again, Barbara, for your work with the Chamber.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Any other announcements? Public comments? Per district regulations, we ask that you move to the podium for your comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address so that it may be noted for the record. Please understand that commissioners will listen to your comments, but in general will not respond, inasmuch as your comment is not an agenda item. We may refer your comment to the district manager for additional investigation. Yes, ma'am.
Rebecca Sherman, 288 Wild Turkey. The Arkansas Press Association advised me to place this comment on the record. It is their advice to the boards to not stack your meetings. Arkansas open meeting laws state the allowable types of executive sessions, but when you have an executive session, you must state the specific reason for that executive session. And when you come back, you then state the action taken on that specific. There are future positions coming open. So this is for everyone. In January every year, all elected officials are required to file their SFIs, that's Statement of Financial Interest. It is public record that after an investigation by the Arkansas Ethics Commission, this board did not do that. They have now, and they've been placed under official warning. And others need to know in the future that they need to do this. HICID's mini code, section 14.3, states that HICID employees cannot receive gifts. This year, the district manager accepted a gift from HiPro to attend a trip in a Chicago event. A new pamphlet has been printed. Doesn't say who printed it, and it is filled with nothing but incorrect phone numbers, and even does not have the correct URL for HICID. Whoever paid for that, waste of money, and really bad item to take to anyone and say, here we are. That's it.
Any other public comments?
I actually don't know if this is the appropriate place to do this. My name is Linda Peterson, and I live at 120 Appaloosa. I have three things. One is about the rec center. Number two is about the chip and seal on Appaloosa. And number three is about the best practices for filling a pothole. Now, would that be now? Would that be later?
Go for it. You have 3 minutes. I'm not sure that the road superintendent might not be able to answer your questions better, but.
That's okay. We'll go on the
Go
record.
ahead, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, would you pass these around? I was down at the rec center the other night, and I was going to walk my dog. And this is the sign that I saw when I started to go down the path. There's really, boy, is it not friendly. Maybe we could put the times when we're supposed to be allowed to do the walking, personal walking, dog walking. That just says, does it say warning? I don't know whether it says warning or not. Excuse my printer, what they thought it was supposed to be green or red. I also have something here from the U.S. Department of Transportation. And I have printed several of these, and it talks about the proper way to do a chip and seal. My main concern is two things. The potholes were not filled prior to them putting down the seal, so they're already back. To me, that is a huge waste of money. And number two, everything that I read said that once it's down, that you are supposed to sweep it to get all of the loose rock and all of the chip. That was not done. I watched them from my place on my porch. So I don't know who could answer that question, but Appaloosa probably could have been done with the proper pothole filling rather than spend all that money to do that resurface. And I don't know if it's on schedule. We're going to do this road this year for this amount of money. If that's the case, probably should review it again rather than take it at face value. So I'm just going to hand these out. Maybe you can give one to whoever the road person is. And then the other thing, and I want to give this to you.
We're running short on 3 minutes here, so.
Okay, this is on how to do potholes.
Okay.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
There is we do the throw and go. And it does not last maybe 2 weeks. So,
And we will get you a response back to your questions. Would you take
Yes,
care of that, please? Linda Peterson.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. Other public comments?
That's all.
Gia Tate, 25 Table Rock Drive. I am asking for an accommodation. I do have a documented disability, and occasionally my expressive communication is impaired. I may need 10 seconds beyond.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
Yes.
The mic, there's no mic.
Mike is over here, I don't pick it up.
So Gia Tate, 25 Table Rock Drive. I have a documented disability that can affect my expressive communication. I may or may not need 10 seconds beyond the 3 minutes. So I'm asking for that accommodation, if it should work. My statement is, notice to the men and women who are making decisions with our money, endangering our persons and property, and devaluing our property. Not allocating our resources to rehabbing the water system and fire protection is causing harm to all owners and residents of Holiday Island. It is also negligent of the health and property of all persons who live or visit Holiday Island. The water system that spends more than $10,000 a month to pump up only about 30% on average is too high a cost and wasteful. It is also harmful to the infrastructure and land. Any man or woman acting as commissioner who votes for spending our money for a recreation center rather than rehabbing our water system and providing fire protection is committing negligence. Any man or woman acting as commissioner or councilman who does not enforce or implement minimum plumbing codes and fire prevention codes is committing negligence. These decisions involve neglecting your oath and duty to manage our money and the duty to provide adequate water and fire services. These decisions have incurred more damage to our property value than benefit. Those who have made and are making these choices are personally responsible for remedy. There is no law or statute that protects you from endangerment or abuse of your duty. Please do the right thing. We do not want a new recreation center. We want efficient water service and effective fire protection. We want our money used for the majority, not a minority. We want a professional estimate of the total cost for rehabbing the water system that will reduce leaking less than 15% and meet the Arkansas plumbing codes as required by HICID's own code of regulations. The last professional rough estimate was $1 million per mile. We have 70 miles of water mains. We all want hydrants to meet international fire code. Requesting that all estimates, studies, and engineering reports be published on HICID's website so as not to be hidden from the public. Requesting a water ad hoc committee be established. Immediate action and response is required. It may be time to bring in mediation before other alternatives are initiated. I am submitting a formal petition to the board to order a reassessment of benefits. I state that the change in plans has caused our assessments to be inequitable. I will also state that the damage to HICID's water system must be specifically addressed by a Dominion in value appraisal to assess real property value due to the ongoing water infrastructure damage and construction deficits present since its creation. In my opinion, HICID's assessment of benefit has not only been inequitable, but invalid since its inception due to the original construction deficits and ongoing infrastructure damage that has not been remedied to its original intended or expected function. Thank you very much for your time.
Other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Linda Peterson, 120 Appaloosa, and I simply want to say that I agree with this lady. The roads, if you will excuse my French. And, but we need the rec center. We really need the rec center. If not, you know, what, does everything just run by itself? And I'm not so much, you know, in favor of a huge building, but, you know, if we don't have anything for new people, I've noticed more and more people with their children at the rec center area. So, yeah, our roads are bad, we need a rec center.
Other comments, other public comments? Thank you.
Excuse me, there'll be time for comments after some of these things are discussed, is that correct?
Yes, there's a public comment session later, yes. All right, I don't believe the deputy is here this morning.
That's correct. He texted me just about 10 minutes ago and said he was not able to make it this morning.
All right, then we'll bypass that. Mr. Presley, you have a district manager report,
Well,
not including financials.
not other than what's on the agenda here under new business.
Okay, then let's move along.
Okay.
We have no old business. Our new business, we have two additions to or amendments to the HICID personnel policies that need to be considered. Commissioners have received these in the past to review. Mr. Presley, would you talk about the background on all of these and basically what they accomplish?
Yes, ma'am. We are going to begin, or we are beginning, a process of vetting through our personnel policies. That's not been done in about 12 years from what I can tell looking at the personnel policies. And this is a social media policy here that was lacking. We didn't have any type of social media. This regulates employees' use of social media while they're on the clock and using HICID computers and so forth. The policy is consistent with what you would see in cities. And so I vetted through this. I sent it to the commissioners a few weeks ago so you had a chance to look at it. And so I recommend to the board that we incorporate this into our personnel policies.
And thank you for the review of policies. Things happen, 10 years ago, this wasn't an issue that anybody had to consider, and now you have to. Commissioners, any comments, questions?
Madam Chair, I'm in agreement, Danny, with what you've written and would vote to approve it. I think that whenever individual commissioners or individual employees of HICID respond to a notion on social media, we're speaking as an individual, but we also have the official title of commissioner, district manager, whatever. Now, I think you would be the only one, if you want to, and I haven't looked at that carefully, that item, but if you need to respond to something, I think it would be appropriate. But the only official action and the only official answer to a social media question would come from this room and this committee. And what the person was talking about water, we had an excellent meeting last Monday, the best I've seen, with Jeff and Dan and all of us and the public, and going into detail about what we could do with the water. So to go on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is and then to be batting that back and forth is a waste of time. And I'm glad that you got this, and I think we should hold pretty seriously to it, especially the employees and the commissioners to not engage in it. Now, if you want to go and talk about what the price is key in China is, then that's your right as a citizen, but not as a commissioner, not as an employee, in my opinion.
And all of these policies are obviously, well, I think it's obvious to me, they're public records. So I saw someone taking a picture. I'm happy to email you a copy of this if you'd like to read it.
Any other comments?
I'm in agreement. I think, having policies in place for all employees, I think it's essential, especially in this time. And this does not cover commissioners, though.
No.
Correct.
So, I mean,
Commissioners are not employees.
Yeah. So,
But this is sort of standard operating procedure for
yes,
almost
it is.
every.
Yeah, you know, in the
city.
private sector, every company in their policy handbooks has social media now, so it's a big part of our lives.
But don't you all agree that the commissioners should not, 5 of us, respond to
Yes.
different queries?
Yes, we
should.
would agree.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think we've all discovered, when we've tried to correct misinformation, it never goes well. So I don't think anybody will respond again.
Okay.
Question?
Yes,
When do you plan to have the new personnel policies published and available to review? What's your
Well, there-
time?
We have a personnel policy book now. If these policies are approved by the board, then, you know, today or tomorrow, I'll get them incorporated into the draft. Now, they may or may not be on our website, but I can publish them on the website with a link.
No, that's not my question. You said you are reviewing them. They haven't been reviewed in 12 years. My question to you is, what's your timetable to get that done?
Ma'am, I wouldn't give you well, we've got a lot going on right now, but I would like to have it done within the next year, revamp through all of the policies. They really should be looked at every 2 to 3 years anyway.
Thank you.
Sure.
any other comments? Do I hear a motion to approve the addition to personnel policy, section 717?
I'll make such a motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Stamps has made a motion to approve the addition to the policies.
Second.
Commissioner Brown, seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. All right, our next consideration of personnel policies is actually a revision, an amendment to one that is already there. And again, I'll refer to you, Mr. Presley.
Okay. Well, as you stated, this is an existing policy, and all we've done is amend this to recognize that the state of Arkansas does allow the use of marijuana for medicinal purposes. That exception was not written into the policies. And then we do have a provision there that says, you know, basically the district has the right to remove someone from the workplace if they are operating equipment or a vehicle or whatever, and they're under the influence of some drug, including marijuana or alcohol. And because they are under the influence, they are a danger to themselves or others, whether they have a medical marijuana card or not. We would not allow that person in the workplace if they're not able to perform safely. So that's what this is, and those are the changes that were made there.
Very good. Any comments?
Yeah.
Has a doctor or any medical person sort of looked at this, or is this similar to other cities or departments?
I drafted this based on what I found in other cities.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Howes?
I apologize, I can't read that,
Yeah.
that's okay. Do you have a testing policy? Is there random testing?
That's in here, yes, sir.
Okay. So you can test on random?
Yes,
without notice?
yes.
And there's also pre-employment testing.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The vast majority of our personnel operate some kind of equipment or drive some sort of vehicle. So I sort of think our insurance folks would be interested in this.
Correct.
All right, any comments? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion that we consider action to approve an amendment to HICID Personnel Policy, Section 7.11, drug testing.
Okay, Commissioner Brown has made a motion to approve this amendment to Section 711. Do I hear a second? Commissioner Dyer seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. And thank you for revising those policies and continuing that process.
Yes, ma'am.
It's one of those ongoing things that
It
never
is.
seems to stop. All right, item number 3, review and approval of the recreation center design. And I will defer to you again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Eric Glazier is here with R3 Remodel. Eric does CAD design for buildings, both residential and commercial. And we have hired him to provide these services, and he was extremely prompt in getting this design put together. We met 2 or 3 times along with Janice, our manager down at the Recreation Center, and input from the board. And ma'am, as you mentioned, we need a recreation center, but we don't need as much as we had. So we were trying to be very frugal in building this. It's about a third of the size of what was down there. What was down there now, of course, the building's still standing. It's almost 6,000 square feet. And I think this is about 2,300. But he can walk through this with us. We're going to try to connect his laptop onto the projector so we could walk through and discuss things, but the HDMI setup did not work out for us. So if you'll click on that link, Ms. Cheryl, and this will play a walkthrough. And Eric, I will turn it over to you.
And thank you for being here this morning, Eric. We appreciate it.
I'm bummed out that I couldn't get my connectivity because I'd like to have been able to do this in real time. But this is a recording of a walkthrough that I did just recently. I made a couple of really small, minor changes since this video, but I don't think they're anything of importance. So once we're able to get that
Go ahead, Cheryl.
play in it, we'll,
And Cheryl, stay close and handy because we might want you to stop it along the way.
yeah,
That's a big pool there, the big pool.
that's the big pool there. Yeah, I think we just have a little bit of buffering with our wireless that's on.
Mhm.
If anybody has any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask me and I can show you.
And the covered area is
Yeah.
designed for people who want to sit and watch in shade.
Yeah, can you pause that for just a second? So, do you mind if I walk up to the front?
Please.
So this overhang here, that's closest to the pool, we wanted to make sure that there was enough shade for parents and things sitting near the pool within arm's length of their kids, but they could still sit in the shade. So we brought that as close as we could to the pool so that overhang will provide that shade there. And this sun angle is based on our latitude and longitude during the summer months. So that's essentially the shade that you would see.
Really?
You can go ahead and keep going, sorry.
That's astonishing. 1:42.
And I believe that's 1 p.m., right?
Yeah, it
Because
was
we even checked the time on it.
Yep. You'll probably see me doing some of this because in the video that I sent to Danny, I'm talking through some of this, which we can mute it out right now. I was just discussing the roof line and
That's existing over there, correct? That's the existing roof adjacent to the pool?
yes, that existing over onto the side, that's what's already there.
Yeah.
That'll stay also.
I believe that's staying.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't touch that.
Okay.
And again, on the left side, you also have a big overhang for
Yes.
shade.
Yes, we extended that as well. One thing that we did do in here, if you'll pause it really quick again. Do we have a little laser on this thing? I thought I saw. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, I'll stand in front of the thing. We took this wall out here, this big wing wall, and took these windows out and made a big window so that anybody sitting at this desk over here can see through. Right through the window there's some gray little boxes. Those are lockers, which you'll see in a minute. So we took this Coke machine and a little freezer here, and we took 2 of these windows out and put them against that wall so that you have visibility into this breezeway.
Yes.
Go ahead. 2 little bathrooms right to the right of the entrance that we're looking at right now. We've got some high windows, some transom windows up here to allow in some light. And I was talking to him at this point about, I think we could probably make them a little taller, to let in a little bit more light.
It's just astonishing what they can do with that stuff.
And to the left, right here, there will be, if you'll pause really quick again, there will be a countertop here, I do believe, and these windows will be, able to open. This is going to be is it Janice?
Janice, yes.
Janice's desk, her area is in that office. She has visibility of both pools from that position with all those windows. And then, of course, her desk and everything will be inside that office. Go ahead. And there, that desk to the right is where you check in and rent, pay your fees or whatever it is that you're.
Eric, I like the way you've made the overhang and a lot of open space there. And one of the reasons, and then you're going to go into another area that's right through and pass through. Won't that save some building construction costs if you don't have walls in those entire areas?
Yes, yes. You have that breezeway in there instead, and there's tables and things in there, which will show. This is me talking through what I have done for this iteration. I think in just a second we'll be able to see, there's a kitchen right there to the left. Let's start to be able to see it here in just a second. What are these computers?
Check in.
Those are the check-in,
I thought that was the
point of sale sort of thing.
Check in.
I thought that was that right. Yeah, I may not be correct about the putting counter space, like a counter ledge on Janice's office. She may decide that this is the way to do it and may not need that counter space. But in my existing rendering now, I do have it there in case she wanted to see that. And anybody is welcome to ask me afterwards, and I can show you the most current and fly through it on my laptop here.
So those workstations, those 2 workstations there with the computers, that's where not only swimmers, but golfers or pickleball players, any of the people that are making use of the recreational areas would check in and pay their fees.
Is there a designated area for the equipment?
Say that again?
Where the paddle balls and the, the golf clubs and all of that?
Oh yeah, we've got a storage area.
No, I meant, okay.
Yep, there is a storage room. There's a laundry room and a storage room right next to each other. And that storage area, I would imagine, would.
I was thinking more about in the check-in area.
Yeah.
So when I come in and want to play mini golf,
Right.
It is right there. It's a few feet away.
it's currently, it's just not showing that. Yeah, okay.
You'll see it here in a
Okay.
minute, but it's in this same room.
Okay. Yeah, I know the details aren't all there.
I really like the high visibility of the pool areas.
Yeah, that was a big point that Danny and Janice wanted to make sure that we included.
So it's that.
And
it's
the
that
floor
door right
is,
there.
the floor is proposed to be a stained concrete.
Yes, yep, that's how I have it set as, just a stained concrete floor, easy upkeep,
Non-slippery for swimmers.
right?
No, that's a door to the breeze
Yep,
outside.
now we're in the breezeway here, looking out towards the big pool. Lot of covered space in here.
This is what I was asking about, Eric, the large areas right here where the lockers are.
Yes.
There's no walls on either end, and
Right.
that's good. I'm hoping we'll save some construction costs for walls and brick and
Absolutely.
Was that new fencing around it?
I just keep, I was not asked to put that in, I just put it in as a, just to show a better view in the rendering, because I know there's fencing around.
Established boundaries.
This is the, I can't remember who's,
This is Kim's work spot.
Yeah, the workroom for Kim.
Kim, that's right.
Yeah.
This is me fixing that wall that rendered funny.
Do you remember about, I mean, we say a workroom for Kim, about how big a room? I was amazed at how relatively small it was. I mean, it's not like it's a palatial shop area or
Yeah,
anything.
it's not big.
Yeah, I will tell you, it's 440 square feet.
Okay.
So it's 14, let's see here.
20 by 20.
Yeah, we've got the length of it is 28 foot, and then excluding the existing pump room, that's carved out, it's 19 feet across.
Yeah. And they do have a tremendous amount
We-
of equipment
There's
that
a lot
they
of-
use for the
a lot of
maintenance
tools and
of
equipment
all the
in-
facilities over there that they keep in this building.
And the other room, the equipment room, pump room, over by the big pool would stay, right? That's,
Yes, sir.
It's in the same structure, Ken.
okay.
Yeah, right next to Kim's work area.
Will the other little building stay?
The island room?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Fencing is something we should consider because of the liability. You know, we've
Yes.
had people go in there overnight, and it's fairly high fence already.
I believe that the existing fence is in pretty good shape. We may need to, patch a section here and there due to construction and all of that, but most of what's there, I think, is usable.
These are bathrooms here, this is the women's bathroom. And the men's is just there to the left.
They are substantially sized down from the huge locker room, shower rooms that we've had in the current structure.
Will there be a shower in each?
Yes,
Yes, that was one of the things that I've added is, on, trying to remember which wall it is, I think it's on the other side facing the kiddie pool. We've got shower heads.
It's between the restroom doors facing the large pool.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Outdoor shower.
Now, outdoor showers.
Oh, perfect.
So you can shower off, before and after.
What's the
And-
plan for handling the drainage, the runoff from the shower?
Oh, that would be easy.
Is it gonna run off to the grass?
To put drains in there. No, I think it would probably run into your
sanitary sewer.
sanitary sewer, which would be right there, because it's on the exterior wall of the restrooms.
Okay,
So they're within a, couple of feet to tie in.
so it's under the shelter of the roof, so rainwater won't get in that drain, right?
True, if it's sloped correctly so the rainwater doesn't run towards the drain, yes.
What's happening to the current structure?
Pardon?
What is happening to the current structure?
It's gonna be demoed. Because it's just not, we tried, but it's just not salvageable.
The floor system is unsafe. Danny just had a hazardous material study done and found that the entire roof is covered in asbestos.
As well as the floor.
Asbestos shingles, yes. So,
And that goes for the existing showers? That roof is over the existing showers now?
it's got
entire roof.
it's got the asbestos shingles as well.
It does?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Did they put that
Mhm.
How old is this building?
50 years old.
Is this building stick-built or metal?
I can do either way. We talked about stick-built because we would think that it's possible that that might be a less expensive option. There would be a lot of beam work and things like that, I think, if we did metal. But I would say it'd probably be worth getting an estimate either way and comparing. But this is set up with 6-inch exterior walls and 2x4 interior walls. Is what the rendering is showing now.
And on a concrete slab,
And on concrete
which
slab.
was the downfall of the previous building, having a sealed crawl space under it that allowed the floor system to just rot.
Yeah. I had a survey that Danny had given me that I used to get all the layout done so that the distances between the pools and all these different little areas were pretty accurate compared to what's there now.
Are the tables outside, is that part of the plan, or is that?
That was just something I put in to show that how you could use that space possibly. We talked about this potentially extending that even further out towards those tables and having that area covered. But I think in terms of roof framing and all the materials needed, it's just going to increase costs. I think what we have is definitely sufficient.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have, 500 people at the pool trying to find shade. I doubt that's the case.
That's not likely to happen.
Yeah.
I would think that breezeway,
Yeah.
that is, the breezeway, in my estimation, the rec center is the most powerful thing we have to attract families and, people with young children, that kind of thing. This pool is so important for that. And that breezeway really is going to open up accessibility and visibility for parents, if they've got children in both pools. And I think
It's a good design.
if I had young children, I applaud this design. I think it's a darn good deal.
Is the kiddie pool going to stay so boring, or is there going to be stuff for the children to actually do?
Bring your own floaty.
Brian, are you talking kind of water park type features? Yeah.
Water slide, something for.
At this time, we don't have that kind of money. But man, I tell you, anybody that goes over to Cassville and go over there and visit the YMCA pool in Cassville, which is a phenomenal facility that is utilized by hundreds of people every day. And they've got those kind of things, Brian, the overhead water trickling down and the water slides and everything. But unfortunately, we have a baked bean budget,
Yes.
even though we might have a lobster appetite.
Yes, exactly. Eric, thank you so much for getting this all put together as quickly as you did and coming to show it. It appears that one of the things we need to upgrade is our Wi-Fi system around here. So, Mr. Presley, where do we need to go from here?
Can we do a little update on the demolition? Or is that, it's not
I'm
in the
happy
agenda?
to,
Is that okay?
our regulations require that we put that out for bid, so we did that. We
Yeah.
planned for a little over 3 weeks, and we had one person who bid to do the demolition work. And that is over the threshold of what I'm able to authorize, so it would have to come to the board. And I have asked Madam Chair if we could have a special meeting next week to look at that bid and award that bid, and as well as the marina contract.
Okay.
So, and then, once the asbestos is abated, then I think the demolition could take place pretty quickly.
After the pool closes.
Yes, and that's all after the pool closes, so.
One way or another, the building needs to come down.
It has to.
Even if we didn't ever replace it, the building needs to come down because it is a safety issue.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I had a question back to the building and so forth. Several months ago, Janice, I think, brought up, or we had at our meeting, comments about the surface around the big pool, but where the arrow is there, especially toward the new building there, that was quite a, I don't swim and I'm not there, but I've been visiting there, but I understand that a lot of the surface is missing, the little pebbles, if you will, where swimmers walk. And I understood from the discussion that that might be a safety issue. So before you have pebbles, which are more, your footwork is more stable, where if it's just cement, you could slip there. What's the status of either that, or we're going to leave it the way it is? I thought it was a pretty pricey item.
Well, remember, that was one of the things that we considered when we were looking at capital expenditures for this past year. And we just didn't have, I believe the estimate that she brought us was $120,000 to
Right.
replace that surface. And at that point in time, we just absolutely didn't have the money to do it. So it stayed as it is. So when the money's there, you know, and we probably need to look and see if there are perhaps other options, you know, that are available also beyond replacing the existing. But yes, it's definitely a maintenance item that needs to be taken care of.
The reason I bring it up is we don't have a lifeguard and we're not required to have one, but anything that could cause an accident, of course, we want to mitigate, not only for our legal point of view, but for people being injured or having our ambulance go over there. I think that's going to be, we're going to put money into a new building and we still have the same two pools. We want the whole thing to be, I would say, perfect. You know, as perfect as we can get with the money that we have available.
I suspect, although I can only speak for myself, but I suspect that everybody that's sitting up here feels exactly the same way.
I have had a citizen come to me talking about that very thing, Ken, and he thinks there are alternatives to completely stripping it, taking it up, or that there are products on the market that, like a sealer, kind of a rubberized sealer material that you can put on that would hold that pebbly, rough textured surface in place. So it's something we can have the district manager investigate.
Just add it to your to-do list, right?
I'm happy to do that.
I have a question on the bid for tearing it down.
Yes, ma'am.
Who writes the specifications for the bid?
Well, I wrote it. I mean, it wasn't hard to do. It was to, you know, destroy the building, remove all the existing material, and then get it back to a level grade where the site is prepared for a new building.
That's the extent of...
Basically, yes. Yes,
So
sir.
if they don't make it level, do we have recourse?
We'll have a contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Where did you advertise?
Our regulation says the local newspaper, so Carroll County newspaper. That's where we advertise.
And for a rather lengthy amount of time, I thought.
Yeah, it was over 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Are you allowed to advertise elsewhere, like Bentonville or Rogers or Fayetteville?
Yeah, we wouldn't be prohibited from that.
Cost.
I mean, that might have brought in others, maybe.
I'm sorry, does it say that we can only recruit Carroll County folks?
No,
No?
that's not what it says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then can you maybe explain why you didn't go outside?
Ma'am, I advertise there because that's what our regulation states, is that we run it for a minimum of, I think it's 10 to 15 days. I'm not sure if it's not 3 weeks. I'm sure we ran it longer than
I
required.
understand that, but is there a reason you didn't run it anyplace else?
Cost. Arkansas Democratic Gazette is huge cost, huge.
It is actually. I've signed some of those checks for what it costs for those legal notices, and I'm astonished at what it cost. And we might have pulled in some other bids, but there's so much going on in the Bentonville-Rogers area. they don't even want to drive out and look at us. So, you know, am I correct, Eric, on that? I saw you nodding your head.
After talking to Danny about this, I actually talked to a few contractor friends of mine that are in the Bentonville, Rogers area. And the moment I mentioned Holiday Island, they're like, we're just too busy to even think about that. So, too busy. They're booked out till February, March. And then the fact that it's this far out for them to travel.
Yeah, it's expensive to bring that heavy equipment here. I mean, that goes into the bid, is bringing in the equipment to do the
So
work.
basically what you're saying is we'll simply accept something that is not the best.
No, I don't think
If we
we're
don't
saying,
ask for it, if we don't ask.
no, we're not saying that at all.
So we won't accept this one bid because there's no comparison, is that right?
We will accept a bid that performs the work that we are asking them to perform. And generally, they have to have a performance contract. But it is not unusual in today's market to get only one bid for any sizable project. And particularly when you consider that we're what a contractor considers a remote area. We love it here because we do have low population density. We have scenic, landscape, but people don't want to come and bid and work that far away. That's the issue we run with almost all of these.
The cost is almost prohibitive due to the fact that if they're an outside contractor and they come over here, they have to bring their workers over here, they have to pay per diem, they have to put them up to make it efficient.
Where are they coming from? California?
Well, Bentonville, anywhere, 45 minutes away, an hour away, that cuts in and they've got costs to do it. I've asked my son
this
about
contractor
this.
from?
He's a contractor in Fayetteville. He said that would be interested in it because, number one, we'd have to pay a per diem. And I'd have to get them there, and I'd have to get them back. And he said, it's just not, I've got more to do over here than to even mess with it.
Have we tried posting advertising on social media or anything? And that's free.
No.
We haven't.
We haven't.
Again, as the district manager said, our regulation, which dictates how we operate, specifies that we advertise in the Carroll County News, whatever it's called.
And actually, this contract is from Lead Hill, which I believe is somewhere close to Harrison.
It is.
I think it's,
Somewhere around there.
How much was that bid?
It was broken into two parts and
It's right here.
you have it, 56,000 for the demolition, and then it was priced differently to come back with a pad, an engineered pad, that ESI Engineering would help us construct that pad by doing compaction and material testing, because we have a contract with ESI that has existed for years.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I've got, here it is right here.
Please let me say something. I'm so sorry. We've had this contract with ESI for a lot of years. You know what? Why don't we look for somebody else?
Because they're the premier engineering contractor in Northwest Arkansas. In fact, actually, the state of Arkansas.
I know who ESI is.
Yeah.
But,
They work the entire state, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Springdale, Bentonville, all of they are the go-to people. They have a tremendous reputation, and I don't see a reason to go elsewhere.
do we renegotiate the contract ever? I don't even know what it
Well,
says, but.
No, I mean, I haven't seen the need to do that.
Okay.
The total amount, from Travis, was, I murdered the last name.
Me too.
Is $56,250. That's demolition and haul away, disposal of. 56,000.
And we will
So was
look
there
at
a
that.
second part or not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's a part for the
pad?
No,
The asbestos.
Fill in the hole?
asbestos thing, that's 20 some odd thousand dollars.
$28,000.
$28,000 for that and 56 to tear the building down, haul it away and dispose of it.
So we're looking 85 grand.
Mm-hmm. Time to get through, it'll be 100.
Okay, well, let's move ahead with our agenda item, which is really looking at the recreation center design. Is there anything else that you need for us to? I think, Eric, speaking for myself, I think it's a very functional building for not only employees, but also for the people that use that building. Function is so important. It's nice, it's pretty too, but
Yeah,
function
yeah.
matters. Is there anything else you need us to do?
Well, I would just like to say that a lot of the work that Eric would be doing is actually creating the plan set. When you get into creating the blueprints, it's very, very detailed, and that would be so today, what I would like to do, if I have direction from the board to move forward with this, so long as we're all in agreement on the layout,
The concept.
he would, yes, and he would create the blueprints.
Okay. And then that also, the bid documents that we would need for, how does that work?
I would probably get ESI's
To do.
assistance with
Okay.
that, because they do bid documents and bid packets and all of that, like on all our road projects or building projects.
All right, so we need an approval of the design.
Haven't we had a layout done of where the plumbing would be in the sketch of, or is that the previous building, the current building?
All of that plumbing would be removed.
I know, but didn't a company come in and, it's nothing to do with the new plan, where the plumbing would be, where the electrical would come up through the cement? We didn't have that yet.
No, that's.
No, that's what he would be working on.
Yeah, that would be part of the blueprints.
That would be layout.
Okay.
So what I need to hear from y'all is, do we have a motion to approve the design as presented?
Can we discuss this some more?
Shirley, go ahead.
I don't know what the protocol is, but when you guys did this, and I like the building, don't get me wrong, but when you given a budget to work within, you got this much money, design something we can get for that.
So my service is more about being able to render, to show the rendering so that you can have a visual of what I've been directed to
Well, yeah, I mean, you
build.
can bring the Taj Mahal, we can't buy it. So
Right,
what I'm saying is.
so I was given a square footage estimate and say, we need to keep this around 2,000 to 2,200, around there square feet, because I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had an idea in mind for what per square foot it would cost to do new build. And so that's kind of how we came up with this.
And that amount was how much?
I don't know what the per square foot, if there is one. It's
I
usually-
don't really know, and I mean, this will be sent out for bids, but we know that we had almost 6,000 square feet down there, and we don't need to rebuild 6,000 square feet. So just trying to be fiscally responsible and scale it down to something that was functional, but was much smaller than what we have down there now.
So we don't know how much per square foot it will cost.
That's what the bids will be. When we put it out for bid,
And if the bids come back sky high, I mean, obviously, we're not gonna have the money to do it.
What about if we only get one bid for it?
Well, that could happen. I mean, that happened, Brian, on our street projects, and it's hard to get contractors to mobilize and come to Holiday Island. And, the options are limited, but hopefully there is a lot more contractors that build structures than there are people that pave streets. And hopefully, we're gonna get some competitive bids, and ESI can help in that distribution of those bid packets way better than us posting it in the newspaper.
Madam Chair, I talk to one builder here quite often, and over the last 6 months, when everybody's been just scarfing up homes and building homes, it's been $200 to $300 per square foot for residential construction, the homes that you see all around the island. Now, the homes are staying on the market. There's one over by my home, beautiful home, been on 6 weeks. It's not taken up in one day. So things happen like that, but These are builders who are here, they're located in Berryville or Eagle Rock or whatever, and so they're located here, they don't have to pay the per diem that Mr. Stamps mentioned. So I think that's the figure that we'd be looking at, and I don't know that much about commercial construction, but it probably we're looking in that realm. You know,
200 to 300 square foot.
that's my own opinion, and talking to the builder that does it every day here.
I would also say, in my experience, which I deal with contractors every single day, it's easy to see 225 to 250 a square foot for residential.
Mhm.
So that's in line with what I hear all the time.
But this structure doesn't have near the features of a
Right.
residential structure.
Right, so that,
It's a bare bones.
Danny and I's discussion has
Yeah.
been very conscious about, we need to really do everything we can to keep this as cost effective as possible. And so, you know, we've had that discussion
Yeah.
as well.
So if it's $200 a square foot, you guys are on board at $400,000 for a rec center. Is that what you're saying? As a board?
I wouldn't say that at this
I wouldn't.
point.
I mean,
Not
you're
at this
proceeding
point in
with
time.
blueprints, so you must say if it comes back at 200 a square foot, we're good with that.
He just said he didn't think it would be 200.
I
mean, you don't have
think
any
this gentleman just said,
That's for residential construction
Yeah.
he was talking about.
so commercial would be substantially less?
Well, it doesn't include the kitchen. It doesn't include, it's got the bathrooms and stuff in it, but it doesn't include all the amenities that a normal household have.
Doesn't have many walls.
But,
Yeah.
see, that's one of the reasons I mentioned the open area. There's no wall to be built there, or in your home, you've got walls all around the building. There's
I'm
a
gonna drag that, we'll have time for comments later.
Ken's got a question.
Ken,
ask a question, please?
Ken, please.
Eric, did you say that this could be a metal building?
I would, if it were me, and this is just strictly my opinion, and I'm not part of the board or anything, but I think it would be wise to at least look into what that cost would be. You know, and that
It'd
doesn't,
be more economical than.
yeah, it very well could be, it very well could be. With prices that have been fluctuating pretty wildly in the lumber world, and so, you know, the bid would be at what prices are now. And maybe by the time this is ready to be built, maybe prices aren't the same. And so the blueprints, what the blueprints will do is allow Danny to send them out to whatever contractors might be interested so that they can do takeoffs and get an accurate bid in. And if that comes in too high, and if several of them come in too high, maybe there's the option of trying to rework this a little bit and change it. Maybe there's not, I don't know. At least those blueprints will allow you to get those bids in.
So the blueprints are the specifications that would be done by the contractor. So they would have to
That's
go,
what they'd have to bid on.
right? Is that right? Their bid would be based upon
The plans.
the plans.
Yep.
So we don't write specifications then.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a
Yeah.
motion that
Solicit
we
bids
accept
based on
the
the
concept.
All right, let's move back to the agenda, please.
You had a question over here that I don't know.
Edwin,
Yes.
excuse me, one question. 2,200 square feet roughly, correct? Is that the overall roof line, or is that just the
That's-
inside structure?
That's inside the structure, not roof line.
And what's the roof line square footage?
I can tell you in just a minute. It'll take me a second. So if you guys want to move on, I can come back to you and answer that in a moment.
I just want to remind the audience and the members of the board that we did hold back about $400,000 to try to accomplish this structure, to replace the one that's currently there. So there is, you know, we have kept money back intending to replace this. It's part of the amenities of Holiday Island. It makes the usage of both pools safe, you know. So, Mr. Stamps, I believe I heard a motion from you.
That we should approve the concept so that we can get the plan out for bid.
Okay, Commissioner Stamps has made a motion to approve the concept of the Recreation Center design as presented. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Surratt has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion It's approved unanimously.
Yes, ma'am, we'll move forward.
Okay. Did you have a chance to find your roof line square footage yet?
I'm gonna have that in a moment. It takes me a second to select all those roof planes.
That's okay. All right, let's move to, yes, I'm sorry.
I do have a comment on this question. Since the rec center will be downsized, so to speak, what happens in, say, 5 or 10 years that Holiday Island should grow and be a need for a larger rec center? What do? You come back and spend more money and tear this building down?
This has been designed to service what actually happens at the rec center, which is people checking in at the golf course, paying to go to the pool. And so there's really not a lot of other activities. It's essentially a point of sale terminal. And so we don't anticipate at this point that there would be any need to change the structure at any time in the near future.
So if you have a larger group of people moving into Holiday Island, then will this rec center this size that you're planning to build, will it hold, will it be?
It's not designed for a community center. It's designed for a port of sale to take care of people using the pools and playing golf.
Yeah. There's no meeting room.
There's the Barn Steakhouse. There's other facilities available for that type of.
The island room will be available.
What you're actually saying then is the rec center is built for a special group of people.
No.
Not your everyday people who live in Holiday Island. This is specifically for a special group of people to be able to use.
Ms. Wilkes, that could not be farther from the truth. I'm sorry, but that could not be. You're making an assumption there that it's unrealistic. This is rec center would be for everyone, and I will guarantee you, people from every avenue of this community use that swimming pool. And families who you have advocated for in the past, you know, that we needed more amenities for children and so forth.
Yes.
This is the solution for that.
I agree that there needs to be more things for children to do here. That's an absolute must.
Yeah.
There are so few things that are not available for children.
Yeah.
My question though is that should this community grow, and I hope it does, should this community grow, will this rec center accommodate all of the people who want to use the rec center?
Yes.
Yes, it will.
Yes.
Yes, it will.
Yes, it will.
Okay.
The rec center is used to get people to the pool and get people to the golf course, to the pickleball courts, to the pavilion. And it's not used as a gathering place, and it's not intended to be used as a gathering place. The rec center itself, the building itself.
If it's just a point of sale building, why can't it just be a storage shed with the cash register in it?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be.
But my concern is all the money that's being spent and I understand that asbestos, all that, I'm very well acquainted with that. But spending all of that money, I feel that there are other concerns in Holiday Island that need to be taken care of rather than sinking more money into something that very few people will probably use.
That's not an accurate representation of what goes on down there. A lot of people use it.
How much is a lot?
I don't swim, I'm not down there. You swim, you're down there.
I do not, but I'm wondering.
There's water aerobics,
Yeah, there's all kinds of things.
We need a rec center to replace the building that is unsafe. That's what it's for.
So then let's make it clear.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make one more comment, and that is we had Broadway construction out of Springdale, Arkansas come as soon as the building was deemed non-habitable, and they came up with a plan in this room for $700,000. $700K. What did we do? We said, we're going back to the drawing board. There's no way we can afford that. It was 2 metal buildings, very nice, but it was way too big. And then our district manager went and got Eric and so forth, and we are now here. So we've looked at different options. We're now going forward. We're trying to do the best we can with the money available, and it is a very, very important structure for the whole of Holiday Island, not just a little group. It's for everybody. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Selig?
I think we should also remember that when we free up the rec center, when we get the new rec center built, that will open up the island room for all the groups that used that before.
Right.
For the garden club that met in the island room, for the hikers that sometimes met in the island room.
Yeah.
For, there was something in the island room every day.
Yeah.
The Rotary Club was meeting in the island room. We had just started 2 weeks before it got shut down because they moved the swimming stuff over there.
Yeah.
So we're not just getting a new rec center for all the people in Holiday Island to use, be they somebody playing miniature golf, somebody playing, the kids coming in, using it for the swimming pool, and all those other, the shuffleboard, for all those other events. We're also picking up the island room for all the people, the large number of people in our community that use those events.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the rec center design, the concept of the rec center design as presented. Do I hear a second? Did you?
We're done with that.
We're done with that.
Stamps and certificates.
All right.
And unanimous.
Sorry, I got lost somewhere. All right.
We're good.
All right.
Okay, let's move it right along.
Let's see, we need to vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the rec center design as presented?
Aye.
Aye. Approved unanimously. Yes, sir.
About 6,400 square feet approved.
All right. All right. Mr. Presley, you want to present our end-of-month financials, please?
Yes, ma'am, I'll do so briefly. Thank you, Madam Chair. I emailed these financials to the board a few days ago. I like to do that ahead of time, to give you a few days to take a look at it. So there's really nothing remarkable in the July financials. Our expenditures, we're at 53.5% on. Yes, there it is right there. Can you zoom in just a little bit so we can see the numbers? 53.5% overall. So we're holding the line very well on expenditures because, obviously 7 months of the year there. On the next chart is this is the revenue that's non-AOB revenue. So you can see, water, wastewater, 18-hole operations is 247,000. That's up a little bit over last year. The marina has done well this year as well, 227,000. So 1.4 million, and our total budget for non-AOB revenue for the entire year of 22 was 2,056,000. So we're on track there. The next page, these are just percentages. That 321% there for roads is kind of an anomaly because roads, we don't look to roads to make revenue, obviously, but
We don't have toll roads?
right, no toll roads. But some revenue does come in when we do culvert installations and things of that nature. So, and then the clubhouse, that's another anomaly there because the clubhouse generally makes $4,000 or $5,000 a year for people that rent the ballroom and those types of things. So if you go a little bit over, it looks like a big number. Next page, please.
But essentially, at 70% of budgeted revenue, we're in pretty good shape.
Yes.
Taking in more than we thought we would.
Yes, and that's shown on the next page. Their revenue is at 70% for the month of July, and then expenditures, as I said earlier, 53.5. So, yeah. And now that revenue that number looks a little bit inflated because the bulk of the revenue comes during the summer months from golf and at the marina and so forth, and then it will taper off October, November, December, the fourth quarter. So the next page is just another depiction of revenue and expenditures. Can you scroll up just a little bit more? Okay, you can see the revenue is in the yellow. And what will happen as we approach October when AOBs are due, people generally, the bulk of people pay in September, October, and then you'll see those two lines converge near the end of the year, closer to the fourth quarter. Next page, this just shows all of the AOBs. This is an ongoing chart. And now there's a typo up there that should say July on the, scroll down just a little more, Cheryl. Other way. There you go. You can see these numbers are through the month of July, what we've collected and what's still outstanding. So that's how we track that. Our reserves, as we've discussed before, our regulation requires that we have a minimum 35% reserves. Can you go to the next slide, please? And so there's our investments and our reserves in the money market account, total M&O. So no real change on that because the CDs are paying virtually nothing these days. So
They are inching up now, though.
Slightly, yes, slightly.
Sub-inching.
Well, I believe we have
2 cents a month.
we have a couple of CDs that we have a total of 6. And there are a couple of those that are coming due for renewal in October. So I'll be bringing that to the board. Next page, please, is the money market balance. This is basically our, like what we call a general fund in a city, just our operating cash on hand, essentially. And then on the last page, you'll see what's a monthly cash flow for all accounts, restricted cash, which is in the purple. As you can see, that doesn't change much because we just don't dip into restricted cash because that's not what it's there for. And then monthly net change in cash is a negative 147,000. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but the financials are looking like what you would expect for the month of July.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, Glenn?
Has the 600,000 plus from the contract for the sale of the communications tower area been realized in these documents?
No, sir.
And when it does, how are you going to handle that? Because it's going to impact that tremendously if you just throw it into general revenue.
It will be earmarked in an account.
Okay.
And then we will track the expenditures from that. So in other words, we have something to show for it.
Okay.
All right, commissioners, any questions?
No, I think we're moving along financially, probably as good or better than Holiday Island ever has, and I appreciate Danny's efforts to pictorialize those financials for us so that they're understandable. And again, October is like the that's when the big chunks of change come in and people pay their assessments, and so you know, the fall is, if it tracks what it's done in the past, is going to be very good. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, I have a question. How are we doing on employment for particularly water, sewer, and roads? Do we have any vacancies, and what are we doing to recruit there?
We have a vacancy in the roads department. I think we still have one vacancy left there.
And that's
of
like
course,
1 out of 4, right?
Correct. 1 out of 5.
5.
1 out of 5. And of course, we're always advertising. We're working to fill that vacancy.
And what are we starting at, $15 an hour for roads?
15 to 16. If they have, we like to start them a little higher if they have some heavy equipment experience and can operate a backhoe and that sort of thing, then we'd like to start them a little bit higher.
Does that mean that if we needed somebody, we would be paying more for overtime for a short one person?
Well, I guess there's always that risk, but so far we've not had to do that.
Okay,
The guys have been getting things done.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, I wanted,
Do,
could
go ahead.
Could we ask Danny if you would mention the auction? I'm so pleased that you're doing that, and that's the money, that's a financial
Yes.
thing there. I'm really happy with that.
Well, it's something that's needed to been done for a long time. We had a lot of surplus property. We had some old trucks that didn't run, we had a bulldozer, we had a tractor, just various equipment, you name it, everything from, as I said, bulldozers to office chairs, filing cabinets, and even a couple of vacuum cleaners that we found in the closet over here. So we have contracted with a company called Purple Wave. They have government services. They work with school districts and cities and suburban improvement districts. They came out, they spent about 2.5 days and took pictures of all of the property. The auction went live about a week ago. And so that auction will close on September the 13th. And we expect, pretty good proceeds from our surplus property this year. And of course, that money will go into capital projects, a recreation center, or a road project, or something like that. There's certainly plenty of places we can spend our money.
And the astonishing thing I thought for that was that they make their money from what they charge the buyer. The seller doesn't pay a percentage, which is what I would have assumed would have happened.
That's a good point. So it's a free service for HICID.
Yeah. And there's a link on, if you get the Friday newsletter that goes out, there's a link on that you can go to and actually look at all those items.
But I wanted to thank you for that. I've been asking for that for a long, long time. And we did it all the time in school districts and made a lot of money to get rid of stuff that nobody wanted. And the big thing was that big fire truck up there behind Station 1 that you sold not long ago. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, do I hear a motion to accept the July financials as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Commissioner Brown has made a motion to accept the financials, and Commissioner Dyer has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's move on to our second session of public comments. Any public comments? 3 minutes.
Linda Peterson, 120 Appaloosa Drive. Will you be fixing the potholes in our new street?
Our new street.
Well,
Oh, you mean the new chip and seal?
yes. Did anybody go and drive that before we paid those people? It's as bad as it was before.
I will refer your comment to the district manager to get back with you.
I mean, did anyone check their?
Yes, ma'am.
And the ruts were still there, weren't they?
That's the problem with chip and seal. When you chip and seal, which is, what, half the cost to,
Yep.
About half.
then you essentially are laying over, it doesn't smooth out. It's not like paving.
It is called
I
chip and
understand
seal.
that.
That's why it's called chip and
That's
seal.
why it's called chip and seal.
I understand that, but everything you read says all potholes should be filled prior to do the sealing and the chip. That's my only question. We spent all that money and those damn potholes are still there, excuse me. They're still there.
I'll be in touch with you, Ms. Peterson. If you'd like some follow-up, I'm happy to follow up with our roads director.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner comments?
I have one.
Okay. Nice and loud.
That's not a problem for me. Holiday Island can best be described as a lifestyle community. That means residents share similar social, recreational, and fitness interests and activities. At Holiday Island, we enjoy amenities, facilities, and programs tailored to those interests. We are also, by definition, a rural community, with all the joys and problems that come with that. There has been a lot of discussion about the expense of operating our amenities, especially the pool and golf courses, where the funds could be better spent, and where the funds could be better spent. All of the talk of the perceived woes of Holiday Island revolves around the assessment of benefits, with no mention of amenity fees. Bear in mind, amenity fees represent 45% of the budget. What are the consequences of closing the rec center and the golf courses? What happens to property values when potential buyers' first impression at Highway 23 and Holiday Island Drive is an ugly, overgrown 2 miles of weeds? Even the rumor of a golf course closing lowers property values. What's the plan to take care of the property? The rec center building has served its purpose for nearly 50 years. It's time for a new, smaller, more efficient facility that will provide an attractive addition to our district. The Island Room has worked as a fallback, but it isn't a long-term solution. For public safety, the staff needs to be closer to the pools. Revenue from the island room rentals has been lost during the time it's been used as an office. Excuse me. How do you replace the income from vacationers who see a decline in the activities that bring them here? The money they spend here is important to our community. We are seeing interest in improvements in our commercial areas. Vacationers are important partners in the success of those businesses. The ramifications of losing our amenities and the income they produce cannot be overstated. Amenities, and this was my own calculation taken from the 2021 year end. The cost of our amenities to the budget is 11%. Do we really want a decrease of 34% in our revenue, which would result from the loss of the fees from the amenities? Those are my questions.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Could you repeat the last part, please?
I went through the financial statement, year-end financial statement, and checked off everything that could be described as an amenity. And that's operating costs at a loss. We budget for expenses for the pool and the rec center in particular, or the golf courses, both golf courses and the pool. We know we're spending money on those. But all of those together are 11% of our total revenue that comes in. It's a little over $500,000 on a $4.9 million budget. So we gain, we're aware of that, and we budget for that. But the other thing is you're going to lose that 45% of income, of total income, if we don't have sufficient amenities.
Well, and the question I ask is, who would move to Holiday Island if the amenities were not here?
Right. Right.
We all came here because of the golf, the tennis, even if we didn't use it, the availability of the marina, the tennis courts, the low density of population. You know, I don't think any of us would be here otherwise. And as commissioners, I think it's our responsibility to the greatest degree that we can to keep our amenities in good shape. So, but you notice I said to the greatest degree that we can. Any other commissioner comments?
I would agree with the final part of your comment there. I think is really key to some of the issues we're facing today. And unfortunately, social media has played a lot of these situations to be so extreme, so life-threatening, so safety, such safety issues, and they're not.
No, they're not.
They're not. You know, the whole, people portraying our fire department as being derelict in their duties, untrained, operating unsafe equipment that sometimes doesn't operate at all, and not having the water nor the fire hydrants to fight a fire. Folks, that could not be
not
farther
true.
from the truth.
Yeah.
Could
And-
not be. And then to put the fear in people by saying your insurance rates are going to be negatively impacted. Did you hear the fire chief when he gave us a presentation on this? Did you hear what he said? Did you hear why those rates could be affected? It wasn't about equipment. It wasn't about water. It wasn't about 4-inch lines, which are half of the state of Arkansas's water lines. It was about the lack of volunteers. The lack of volunteers is what will negatively impact our insurance rates. If you want to do something positive for this community, go out and encourage some people to join the fire department, become a volunteer, learn how to operate a pumper truck and throttle the water that pumper uses. You don't pump 2,500 gallons of water per minute on a residential fire. Now, if Sunfest was on fire, yeah, damn right you would. But folks, we need to get back to dealing with facts.
Reality.
And unfortunately, a lot of our critics, who we've kind of called naysayers, they're too quick to point out the problems, but where are they to help us find the solutions? Well, they walked out the door, or they don't show up for meetings. We're not, as we have been called on social media, elitists. We don't serve on this board for our financial gain, or as one person in this room said, to benefit our family members. We don't do that, We're volunteers. We were a few of the people in the community that stepped up, raised our hand and said, hell yes, I'll do that for 3 years. And then we get criticized. We get called names. I like criticism. I like constructive conversation. Be part of the solution. Don't focus on helping us find problems, and the majority of them are not real problems. We deal with them. Let me tell you something about that water that I learned today. On social media, you are just alarmed to see that 70% of the water we pump every day gets lost in the subterranean. I like to break things down to the lowest common denominator. Guess how much water that is? Anybody want to guess how much water that is that's lost? On the island has its own water system. And for those that say we don't maintain our water system, we just spent $100,000 to put a new pump and casings in down there. Is that not maintaining a water system? But guess how much water is lost every minute on the island? 8 gallons. That's thimblefuls. On the upper part of Holiday Island, throughout all the planets, as we call them, the streets named after planets, throughout Holiday Island Drive, probably 60 miles of roads with water systems under. How much do you think we lose there? 250 gallons. Is that alarming? That's it per minute. I mean, it's something we need to work on. But likewise, most people that were here last meeting when we talked about water completely ignored the fact that the engineer and our water superintendent said over half that water loss is on private service lines. It's not on our mains under the street. Folks, let's talk facts. Let's be realistic. Thank you very much for allowing me to spew this little spiel.
Bob, I want to thank you for that, and Phyllis, also everybody who's made a comment. I'd like to mention that Larry Stantz here was a district manager when the big growth was happening. Tom Dees was here, McCullough Corporation was here, and I came 16 years ago, drove down Holiday Island Drive, and just fell in love with it, and we've been here ever since. I went up to see Tom when I was elected to the board. He said, nobody ever comes to see me from the Board of Commissioners. I went up and spent a couple hours with him, and if you've been with Tom, you know he's got big folders, and he comes out and he slops these big folders down. He said, Ken, if we ever close the golf courses here, I want to show you something. He took out pictures of Bonita Springs, Florida. And Bob, you live down in that area. The grass was this high on the golf course. Bonita Springs, I haven't been there, but I heard it's a very nice area. They closed the golf courses and property values went through the basement. Bob had a great letter a long time ago, quite a while ago, about when he lived in Florida and they closed the golf course. And it's just insanity.
You only have to go to Kings River to see what happens when you close the golf course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right over in.
It has nothing to do with your passion for golf.
Yeah, no, right. But anyway, I'm not going to lecture, but I just agree with what's been said here, and we try to do the best we can. And one person said, we lie and we're going to burn in hell. Commissioner, yeah, I mean, that's pretty serious, and that's pretty hurtful, okay? I do the best job I can every day that I come here, and I watch your money, and I watch my money. And we hired a good people, we hired a good district manager, and we're gonna go forward. And the comments today, we want them. This is the biggest crowd we've had for quite a while. I wish we could put more chairs behind me. Maybe we'd have 40 here, or move to a larger room. But I'm proud of what we've done. I want to keep doing what we've done. And this, we've got the ionization, the chlorine problem at the water plant. That's a big ticket item, $720K. And we're getting $625K for the sale of the property by the tower. But we've got other things that are really big. And in order to keep the assessment where it should be, so we can continue Holiday Island forever and ever, amen, we've got to keep that assessment down. So we've got really forces playing against each other here, and we're going to do the best we can. And we appreciate the comments and the suggestions.
And I appreciate everybody's comments, because it has been extremely frustrating to read the lies that are spread on social media. And when you try to answer them, then you just get attacked. They don't want to hear facts. The facts are, the water engineer last week told us we have a very capable, safe water system. We know the facts are that the fire chief told us that he has an operational plan to fight fires that occur anytime in Holiday Island, which of course is like only 10% of the calls that they get. You know, most of them are EMS type calls. We are doing the absolute best we can. I have told people that after a year and a half, what I see is Holiday Island is the equivalent of a senior citizen living on a fixed income. We do not have the ability to increase the AOBs. In fact, if we destroy the amenities, then our AOBs would have to be reassessed and we'd have less money to deal with. You can't really increase the water cost significantly, or you're going to impact people who have trouble making ends meet. You can't put the price of your golf course and marina above the market rate, or people won't come to your golf course and marina. So we are on a fixed budget and having to look at the little bit of money that we have left over after we deal with our regular and operating expenses to figure out what is the priority that needs to be taken care of. And for those people that want to fix those 4-inch water lines, there's not enough money in this whole community to do that. It just can't be done at $1 million a mile. You can't do it. So we will spend the money as it appears to be reasonable. And always safety is going to be the first thing that's taken care of. But it is a challenging job. I remember when I talked to Nina Hawley before I came on the board, she said everyone should sit here. It's tough to make those decisions. And I appreciate what she said now. All right, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
I make such a motion.
All right, Mr. Stamps has made a motion.
Scheduling.
A question over here.
I just had one comment, it's real brief. I see a lot of comments on social media about the cost of our water bills every month. And I just want to remind people, if you didn't live in Holiday Island, you lived in Beaver, you'd have to drill a well, you'd have to set a sewer system, a septic tank. Look at the cost of those things. You'd be out probably $25,000, $30,000 by the time you did that. Plus you'd have the maintenance of that. And you'd have the risk of, what if your water didn't flow or you had a problem there? Those, you know, I've lived in cheaper places as far as water bills go, but we looked at building a house on Beaver and what it would cost to live there. And I feel like we're fortunate that we have what we have.
Yeah.
That's my only comment.
Thank you, Don. All right, and let's see, I believe Mr. Stamps made a motion for adjournment.
No, have we done scheduling?
Oh, did I skip that? Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Commissioner agenda scheduling.
Special meeting.
We will schedule a special meeting for next Monday, August the 29th, to look at 9 o'clock for the marina and the demolition contracts. And then our regular scheduled meeting is on September the 26th. And if there are other meetings that are scheduled, you'll be notified by email and also by.
I was wondering about the workshop date, if we have one in September, because I think 2 of us are going to be gone that day. But
I won't be,
you'll be here.
I'll be back for that.
Commissioner, I will actually be out that week also.
Okay.
So we may schedule an alternate date.
But, yeah, if we need to, I think we need to start talking about budget. It's coming up September next week or so.
Yeah, then we'll look at alternate dates, but we'll let you know. We'll check and see when that's possible.
Okay.
All right, now, Mr. Stamps, would you make a motion for adjournment?
I did,
Oh.
I forgot it.
And
I'll second.
and Commissioner Surratt has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.